What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new movie that was released on HBO Max recently. That, to be quite honest with you, I did not know anything about this before I went in to watch it. I saw the poster. I look online always for like what's going to release during the week, and I saw this as one of the films mentioned. And I read the little blurb about it, but other than that, I hadn't seen a trailer yet, didn't really know anything about it. And it seems like the reviews for this movie are kind of all over the place. I've seen enough positives to want to go in and check it out. And the movie I want to be discussing with you today is Caddo Lake. Caddo Lake is directed by Logan George and Celine Held. When an 8-year-old girl mysteriously vanishes, a series of past deaths and disappearances begins to link together. So, as I said, I went into this movie completely blind, didn't really know what to expect from it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's perfect by any means. It definitely has some issues in its pacing, and this movie entirely relies on the twist, which I'm not going to reveal any of that information until later on in the review when I give you a spoiler warning. Leading up to that point, the way that the narrative is structured can be a little bit confusing. It clears it up really well in the end. But aside from that, this movie has some really great performances, some strong cinematography, and I really enjoyed the emotional core of the film. And so I'm going to start the review, give you a little bit of a rundown, not tell you too much about it, give some of my thoughts, and then I'll go into spoiler territories afterwards. So at the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Paris, played by Dylan O'Brien, who we learn was in the car with his mother at the beginning of the movie, and the car went off the bridge. His mother died in this accident, and he survived. And we jump forward in time a little bit, and he's just living his day-to-day life trying to get through it. We see him with a woman who seemingly he was dating, their relationship. There's clearly something getting in between them because of him experiencing this loss in a very visceral way. He works this job where he takes a boat out on the lake and he's working with his father. The two of them, they seemingly have a little bit of tension between them because Paris does not believe that his mother's death was investigated enough, and he thinks there was something else that was wrong with her. So we're introduced to his character. And simultaneously, we are introduced to Ellie, played by Eliza Scanlen, who is living with her mother and her stepfather at this home, and she is really upset because she never knew who her father was. She doesn't really feel like a part of this family. And Ellie has an 8-year-old stepsister named Anna, and the two of them are incredibly close. One day, Anna disappears, and Ellie goes on the hunt looking for her. And the film is these two stories coming together and interconnecting, and that is the most I want to tell you about the movie. So like I said, I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit, and for starters, I want to talk about the performances. I've really enjoyed Eliza Scanlen throughout her career. I think she's a very talented actress, and she is one of the best parts of this movie. The range of emotions that she showcases from the very beginning until the very end of the film, she is just a very dedicated and incredible actress that just continues to impress me no matter what movie that she's in. Dylan O'Brien is someone I have not seen a ton in his career, but I really enjoyed his performance in this movie. I think he does a great job with this character, and similarly, he has to go through a pretty wide range of emotions, and I think he does exactly what he needs to when it comes to what the performance dictates. And everyone else involved in the film does a really nice job. I really love the way this movie is shot. I love the production design, and I love the setting. It takes place on this lake. It's in this town that's so close to it. The lake plays an enormous part of it, and it just feels like you're reading a really great book. It's immersing you in this world, and because of the way things are shot, it adds a ton of personality to the movie. I love movies that have really immersive settings. I think it makes it a lot easier to keep yourself invested and to really enjoy what you're watching. And there's a lot of beautiful shot selections in this. There's a lot of attention to detail in the cinematography that helps you kind of understand what's going on overall. And like I said, when I get into spoilers, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I don't want to reveal anything up front. And my favorite part about this movie really is the emotional core, because as I'll talk about in spoiler territory, the entire crux of this movie is very fascinating, and it could be used in an incredibly gimmicky way, and it's not. The entire crux of it really just allows for a very emotional gut punch in the third act, which I really appreciate, because everything in this movie is centered around family dynamics and unconventional family dynamics, and trying to just get through life when things don't necessarily play out the way that you'd expect. And experiencing tragedy and loss and all of these different things, and how we as people try to overcome it. And I really love that despite the wild twist in this movie, that it still manages to have a lot of heart, and it manages to execute its drama very well. And that's what I loved so much about this movie, is like I said, that drama really resonates with you as a viewer. I think there are some pacing issues and there are some problems with the way information is revealed that might be confused to some viewers, but I'll talk about that here in a minute. And from this point on, I have to get into spoilers if I'm going to talk about any more of the movie. So if you have any interest in watching this movie whatsoever, go in as blind as possible. Just go in with the knowledge that I've given you in this video so far and enjoy it. And then you can come back and watch the remainder of this video. So the entire crux of Caddo Lake, it's super fascinating, is whenever the water levels get to a certain point in the lake, it causes a break in like a time barrier to where you can travel in time at specific points in the lake. And so in this movie, Paris's timeline is occurring completely different than Ellie's timeline. And we learn that all of these family members are interconnected. And that is the big part of this movie, is learning which time periods we're in, what happens when Anna is teleported back, I believe, to like the 1950s. And it's just an incredibly fascinating idea. And what I liked about it, the way it was revealed, this could have been a really gimmicky, terribly put together movie, because time travel has been used so many times throughout the years. And sometimes it's incredibly effective. Sometimes it's just horrible and it doesn't really add anything into the movie. But what I like about this is the time travel is just like a thing that's happening and people somehow stumble across it. And because of that, it enters each of these people's lives to the point where they don't even realize that they're all connected as a family. And I loved that because that central focal point of the movie is so much on these family relationships, that utilizing that science fiction concept to tie all of those things together really made it a fascinating watch. And I think early on, it's a little confusing. The editing is very fast paced, and I liked that. I think the chaotic editing makes the tension a lot more palpable, but it will lose some viewers. If you are not paying attention, it's going to get incredibly confusing. And I do think they do a great job at the end showing you exactly what has happened and how characters are related. It doesn't necessarily do so with a heavy-handed exposition, but it does it through visual cues and through characters' actions. And that's what I really liked about the movie. But I do think there could have been a way to tie these stories together earlier on that would be a little less confusing for some people, because I notice a lot of the complaints about this movie are people saying that it's confusing or that it doesn't make any sense. And I think you're probably not paying enough attention if you're completely lost by it, because I do think they do a great job at the end kind of tying it all together. But I could get in some moments early on where people would be lost as to what's going on, or like, where is this going to go? But I think they wanted to hold off to a certain point to do the big reveal. And I enjoyed it. I really liked where it went. And I think that the ending of this movie, and just what a hard-hitting emotional punch that it was, made the entire film worthwhile. And I think if you have an HBO Max membership, you should 100% check this movie out. So have you seen Caddo Lake? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought the performances were great, and I totally think that it's worth your time. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.